Welcome to Afros and Audio's Black History Month interview series. My name is Talib Jasir, founder and CEO of Afros and Audio Podcast Festival, the first two-day conference for and by Black independent podcast creatives and audio professionals. I'm excited to spotlight 28 outstanding indie podcast creatives who answer the call to be a part of this series. Today, my guest is Bri. Welcome and thank you for being here. How are you today?
Yay. Thank you for having me, Talib.
Yes,
I'm great. It's always a good time when I get to talk to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get started. I want folks to learn. We're going to learn about the podcast and Power Not Pity. But the first thing I want them to do is give them a little bit of background from your own words and tell the folks a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Bri like Sky. I am a podcaster, a poet. I also sometimes go by political agitator. And this year, I've decided to add griot to my bio because I really feel like I want to take on that role and be the leader that people have been wanting out of me. Yeah, I do the podcast Power Not Pity, and it's all about disabled people of color. It's an interview-based show. We shoot the shit. We talk about ableism. We talk about our lives, our experiences. We talk about everything. And for my poetry, I'd say I am in the midst of writing it all. And it's a beautiful process, but it's a process.
I can understand that. As a fellow creative, I get it. Yeah. So when we talk about your podcast, talk about the naming of it. Talk about the reason why you decided that it was important for you, Bri, to create a space to have these conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so way back in 2017, Wild West of podcasting, I decided, I had just been diagnosed with MS. And it had been about 2 years or so since I was diagnosed with MS. And I was in bed a lot, healing up from the initial diagnosis. And I was listening to podcasts a lot. I was like trying to find something to entertain me, to pass the time. And podcasts were it. Because originally I come from a music industry, radio background. So naturally, I just made the switch. And I was listening. I didn't hear anything that sounded like me, looked like me, felt like me. And so I decided it's time to create something like this because people need to hear and people need to feel represented because it's like there's nothing on the airway. There was nothing out there for disabled people of color in 2017. So when I came out with the show, people started to pick up on it. Now people say it feels like they're sitting on the couch with a friend, just talking. And that's like the best compliment I could ever receive.
So when it comes to the decision to format it, make it an interview style versus you speaking solo about some of the issues that disabled people of color face, what made you decide that I want to make this an interview-based format, and then that would create that representation and that opportunity for others to come on to use their voice as well?
Yeah, I moved through the world thinking that we don't live this life alone. And I want people to know that you're not alone. You're out here sitting at home, like not able to go anywhere because nobody's wearing a mask, not able to participate fully in life because of all of these ableist structures that oppress us and continue to leave us isolated and alone. Like, this is the reason why I wanted to create the show, why I keep working on it. It's because I just don't want people to feel alone. I want people to feel like they have community and that there is someone out there who understands what they're going through.
Yeah, that is important for all the reasons that it's important and all the reasons why people choose community and their different communities, their different movements to create podcasts and really allow that to be an extension, not only of their own personality, but of the changes that they want to see in the world. And so when you think about the work that you've done, with Power Not Pity. And you mentioned in 2017, you were pretty much out there on your own as far as that type of representation in the podcasting spaces. I feel the same way when it comes to like audio fiction. 2017, it wasn't what it is today. Have you seen that shift in the industry, or are you pretty much still on an island, would you say?
I wouldn't say I'm on an island. I'd say I'm on a playground. Like there are people out here who are doing podcasts about disability justice, about disability culture. There's even a podcast about disability and bodybuilding, which is really cool. It's called Disabled Girls Who Lift. And I'm just like, that's dope, because that's like super specific, but it's got universal appeal because we're all out here trying to do this thing called life. And I just think it's been so cool to see how many different angles people have taken on it and how many different angles people have gone in different directions. Like when I first started this show, I didn't think I would see the kind of podcasts that are happening now. And it's been a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why I asked that question, because it is a beautiful thing to see the industry evolving, one, and to see more people finding their voice, finding their opportunities to speak and express what's going on with them through podcasting, and specifically around this topic, because it is important work, obviously, for all the right reasons. As you think about the way in which the podcast has gone from episode 1 to, let's talk about it, where we at season wise, episode wise, how have you grown inside of it, would you say?
That's a good question. Okay, so now we're at season 3, and I think the first episode will probably be episode 13 or 14, something like that. How have I grown? Jeez, in so many different ways. I feel like I'm coming into a new era of myself in becoming a disability justice advocate over the past 5 years, because it's been 5 years, which is nuts. I never thought that I would get featured in all the places that I've been featured in. People would come up to me after I've spoken at conferences and tell me how influential my work is to them. People email me all the time telling me like, hey, this show has really helped me through a lot. And it's been a wild ride. I feel like my confidence is different. I show up differently in the world. I move through the world differently, like with a certain sense of like audacity, because I know that I'm a representative and I want to represent the community looking fly. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that is the epitome of becoming possibility for others, right?
Yeah.
And so this opportunity that you've had to share your voice, to share your experiences, the fact that it doesn't go unnoticed by people who care, you being possibility and a representative, matters to them specifically, but also it matters to the world, right? And so it becomes that responsibility of, and not, we don't want to put too much pressure on ourselves, but once we step out there and it becomes our purpose, then it becomes a responsibility. And from what I know of you and how I've experienced you and listening to the podcast and having you speak at our events, I know how powerful you are. And so it's really dope. Yeah, absolutely. And it's really dope that as creatives, and myself included, we've had many conversations. It's important other people know we're powerful. It's good that we start to get it as well.
Yes,
Everything changes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Dope.
And we are doing so much good for the world, Talib, you and me both. And I just don't want to ever go without letting you know how amazing you are. Like,
Oh, stop.
the stuff you do, amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. But this is all about Bri, and and I appreciate you. So, what would you say has been one of your biggest wins, whether it was a guest or an accomplishment from Power Not Pity, that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I'd say one of my biggest wins was probably getting featured in Forbes Magazine and also getting published by NYU Press. This book is coming out in July, I think, and it's called Crip Authorship. And it's basically about the different ways in which disabled people, Crips, like we define ourselves and we create ourselves, like what is behind all of our struggle. And I'm really excited about that one coming out, because not only as a Black person doing this work, not only as a disabled person doing this work, disabled chronically ill person doing this work, as a trans person doing this work, I just feel like, wow, I feel so honored that they would even come to me and say, hey, like your work is good enough to be published. Because if you had asked me 5 years ago, hey, B, you about to be published, like I would have said, I don't know what you're talking about later. But now it's not only a possibility, it's gonna happen. And I'm working towards publishing my own collection of poetry. And like these applications that I was telling you I've been working on for this grant and this fellowship, it just feels like it was meant to be on my plate. And I'd say, yes, winning grants and like getting awards and being featured is like all great. Like it's all fantastic. And I'd say another thing that really just keeps me going, that is a big win for me, is when every guest that I ask on the show, I ask them the last question I ask is, what's your disabled power? And I always get such a beautiful answer, such rich storytelling. And that's always a big win for me too. When I end the interview and it's closed up in this package and suddenly people get to talk about their own power, it's a beautiful thing. So every episode I do is a win. That's what I'm trying to tell you right now.
No, I get it. I get it. And that was going to lead into another question but you just gave me a better question, actually. And that
Okay.
question is, what's your disabled power?
Oh, here we go. My disabled power is like my vulnerability in community. It's my ability to just be able to like sit down and connect with another person who I didn't know 5 minutes ago, but now we're linked up and our paths will never be the same again because we made this connection. And I don't take it for granted at all. I don't take it like, I just think every person who I've been involved with this show, it's just been a gift.
That's awesome. When it comes to the process, when it comes to the work and even being able to create content and output and all of that, I'd love for you to talk a little bit about how you manage to like give yourself grace inside of when you can and when you can't, how you manage to work through it, all of those things that you think would really matter to someone who may be struggling with some things that they want to do with their life.
I think you used some words in there that my therapist loves to throw at me all the time. Give yourself grace, Bri. Self-compassion is so important, but it's true. Self-compassion is like such a necessary thing, especially when you're a creative person, because you got to find the fuel somehow. And I think self-compassion is one of the things that will keep that fuel going, keep that fire stoked. And I think for me, I reach out to people. I make sure that I have enough time for self-care. I rest a lot. I rested for a whole last year, Talib. And now I'm back. Like, rest is resistance. Rest is powerful. Rest is restorative, rejuvenative. Rest is the thing that allows you to keep going for the next day. I want to live in a world where everyone has the ability to see abundance, to see what changes can happen and know that they can be a part of those changes too. Because disability is gonna get you. At some point in your life, like that's the thing that people don't get. I didn't get it before I became disabled, but here's the gag. I have always been disabled because I'm neurodivergent. And because I was undiagnosed until maybe a year ago with ADHD, I didn't know. And there's so much mystery to life. There's so much that we don't know. But I just think that once you hone in on that thing that really gives you joy and really gives you the kind of good feelings that make you want to live, I go for that. Follow the joy, and follow the self-compassion because it's hard. Life is hard and it's only getting harder. But I fully believe in the power of community, and community is one of the only things that's kept me going these past 5 years. So yeah, that would be my answer.
Thank you so much for that answer. It means a lot. As you were speaking, I can relate in so many ways. And I appreciate the fact that you have the experience to share, right? In a way that says, listen, there's some things I knew for sure that was going on with me. Then there were other things that I didn't know for sure that was going on with me. And either way, I was inside of operating and living my life and in the motion and all that sort of thing. But I'm a firm believer that once you can own something, once you can understand something, once you are aware of something, within your power to now take agency over it, work around it and work through it. And so I really appreciate you sharing that because it's important. There's a lot of us running around here with some undiagnosed neurodivergence.
Let me do every single interview that I've done for this new season. Every single person is Black and trans. Every single person has been neurodivergent, undiagnosed neurodivergence. Tell me that doesn't like just make you want to go, like because there's so many reasons to it too, right? Imagine how like assured we would be in ourselves if we knew about our neurodivergence, if we knew about how our brain works. Like our brain is the thing that's keeping us alive and keeping spirit in our bodies. And what if we understood how our brain worked, like actually worked? Who would we be? How would we operate in this world? So yeah, that's another thing that's been tripping me up and making me think of all the things.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand a lot of low self-esteem issues, a lot of self-doubt issues, a lot of stuckness and fears come from a space of having something else going on. It can be deeper, right? Some of it is socialized, some of it is inherited, some of it is us. And it's important that we start engaging with that and start listening to people who have the experience. And you say, maybe I should get this checked out or something like that, because it supports. And one of the things that I know we do, especially as Black people, Black Americans, disabled, invisible disabilities, physical, mental, whatever it is, we have a tendency to keep going and to ignore the hell out of the things that we got going on in hopes that one day it'll get better and we never have to talk about it.
Yeah. I'm Caribbean American. I'm Jamaican American. So like from the Bronx. So we're all about keep it moving, keep it going. We are gonna make sure that we have everything held down on lock. Like we know who we are. Y'all not gonna come up in here with the doctor jargon and tell us who we are. Yeah, I was definitely of that mindset. Don't tell me who I am, but I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot in the past couple of years.
And I'm glad you're sharing it. And one of the things I truly believe is that our beliefs are really connected to, if it's a belief that doesn't serve or support you, and sometimes we don't know what's not serving and support us until we do, it also isn't challenging us to do anything different, be anything different, or raise a level for ourselves. So it's really important that we are able to challenge our own selves and those beliefs and the things that we inherited. Again, I love that you have stepped into the space with your own unique experiences, because there are no single stories. We love to talk about how we're not a monolith, and no, we're not a monolith.
Yeah.
we can move on from that conversation. We're not. So now let's get into our diversity. Now let's get into what makes us unique and sharing these stories. And then because inside of that is the relatability, is that commonality. But we all are coming from a different spaces. We are moved and motivated by something that's for us personally and specifically. And I love that you are in this space. I love that you are sharing your voice and creating space for others. Who's a guest that you love to shout out? And I don't want you to have to play favorites or anything like that, but is there a guest who came on the show and opened you up and opened your mind or expanded you in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, every guest is a win, but I will point you towards this one particular episode I did with activist, poet, disability justice, OG, Leroy F. Moore. It's called The Ancestors Woke Me Up. And now this episode is like a hybrid interview, performance art-ish kind of episode, right? Like I took his book and I acted out different parts of it. And I did my own singing, I did my own acting, like I put the music together, everything, right? The thing that really got to me and made me want to bring this episode to you today is just the fact that it opened me up. It opened me up into a whole new way of formatting an episode. Because before that one, I was just like straight, like, all right, like how we're doing today. It was that kind of format. And before I did the Leroy episode, I was just interviewing people. But now I see the possibilities in every interview. Oh, how can I turn this into an experience? How can I turn this into something that fully envelops you and is not just two people talking at you? It's like you're about to feel something. So get ready for that. That's what his work was allowing me to do, to actually get people to feel something. And people loved that episode. People thought that it was so inventive and so fun. And yeah, I love that one.
Wow, I can't wait to listen to that one. I missed that one. So
Yeah.
I get to experience that.
The Ancestors Woke Me Up featuring Leroy F. Moore.
Wow, I can't wait. And that'll be in the description as well. A link to the podcast, of course, but we'll shout that out as well. And I love that, Brian. I love that I done said I love so much because I do love it. But what podcasting affords is the opportunity for you to show up and be whatever, however, whenever you want to be, and to give ourselves permission to say, I know what it's supposed to look like. I know it's how it's supposed to sound. I know that this format is supposed to sound like.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it this way. It's a powerful platform for that audio, but it's also powerful for creatives, right? To break out of these molds. I say all the time, listen, if we continue to go by the status quo, it will forever be a status quo.
That's right.
Not until you break it, it no longer looks and feels the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's great. That's perfect. I really can't wait. I truly can't. I'm about to stop interviewing right now so I can go jump on it. Yeah, a little bit longer. When it comes to that, and you talked about the poetry, which I think is so dope. As a fellow poet, welcome. And the work that you're publishing. And is that an anthology, that the work that you were talking about with the New York?
Yeah, so that's an anthology. Yeah, Crip Authorship is an anthology, and it should be out soon. And Leroy's in it, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm up here with the big dogs. You know what it is. And yeah, so that should be good. But I'm actually looking to publish a collection of my own personal poetry called Breakthrough Breaking Point. And it's going to be documenting my journey to getting top surgery, talking about my experiences as a Black trans disabled, queer, non-binary person living in this world that is actively trying to annihilate me, living in this world that is actively trying to annihilate my fellow siblings, and just living and loving and moving through this world and what it means. And really, I want to do this I want to do all this work for the kids that are coming up who might not feel like they have enough people around them who look like them, talk like them, love like them. And I just want to do something for the babies.
Please do it for the babies, because it's the opportunity, right? And I know what all the conversations are in the world. How can we not? But
Yeah.
man, creating some open-minded and dope human beings in this world will literally be how we change this world.
They're going to save us. They're going to save us.
They're gonna save
And I'm
us.
so sorry that they have to.
Yeah.
Like, these babies, they should be allowed to live
Yeah.
and just jump and play. But
Absolutely. And be whoever they are going to be without anyone tapping them on the shoulder and say, we don't do that. We don't talk like that.
Exactly.
Don't act like that. Whatever comes out of them is how it comes out of them. Let it be. And like I said, I really appreciate your work. And before we close this up, I want you to talk about where you go with your podcast. What is the ultimate goal? And knowing that it's your goal, it's your ultimate goal because of where you are right now. You don't even know where it's going. But we can't know that, right? But we have a dream right now in the space that you are. So what does expansion look like for you for Power Not Petty? Where would you like to see it go?
What does expansion look like? Oof. Talib, this is what I've been writing about for a month. These fucking applications. So if money was no option, time was no option, I would just want Power Not Pity to be a whole multidisciplinary hub. Yes, I want the podcast to be an institution. I want the podcast to be cemented as a place for disabled people of color to go, to feel safe, to feel heard and seen and represented, right? But I also want people to generate. I want there to be more creative energy generated around the disabled POC experience. I want there to be more art, more audio, more video, everything. In a perfect world, like, this would be a podcast network. This would be a network for disabled podcasters of color. Like, I think that could be so cool. And I'm only hoping that I get these grants and that I'm able to hire someone to help me on this journey, because I'm out here wearing all the hats as an indie podcaster. And I really do believe in the power of people. And so I'm hoping that one day soon I'll be able to hire someone and we'll be able to get it going, because I want to release the next season in July, which is Disability Pride Month.
That's awesome. And I asked that question because there are people out here, the universe starts to conspire, right? And so there are people out here to accelerate the process, but we want the people to be aligned and be allies, and not just in ethnicity, but allies even inside of, who we are and as people, and respect the work, respect that you've already got it. I just need you to come along and support it. And so, so I know that's possible. And whatever I can do to support the effort, I'm here for it because it's important.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely drop some gems, but for the people. Sometimes we get into, and this is where it gets nuanced, we are definitely have specific communities and people that we can relate to, but it's all relative. We're all people. We're all humans living in this human experience, drinking, sleeping. The same exact thing happens whether you are trans, whether you're disabled. It happens. We're all doing the same thing. And so when we start to look at, oh, that's them or that's that, no, we have this human experience and we get to be a part of it. And so in the human experience, there are creatives, period. They're podcasters, period, that want to just be encouraged and say, I got this. And, or I don't know that I got this, but somebody please tell me I got this. So what would you say to the aspiring podcaster, the veteran podcaster that's on their way out with pod fade and that sort of thing? What words of encouragement would you give them?
First, I see you because I have been there. I am there and I'm moving out of it, right? I'm in this stage where things are starting to open up and blossom again from this rest, this little hibernation that I took. And I think one thing I would say is just that you got to find your people. You got to have your people there with you cemented, because in those moments where you feel like you have no resources, like you have no direction, something's going wrong, there's some stagnancy, something is missing, people will tell you who you are. Your people will bring you back to who you are. And I truly believe that when we decide to engage with our communities will show up for you. And I've seen it time and time again. Afros and audio, like people come through, help me all the time. And it's because we know what struggle is. And I just want to say, I see you. And I know it's hard, but people are out there. There's always going to be someone else who is going through a similar situation, because pod fade is real and burnout is real, because we live under capitalism and ableism, you know, and those things will be there. But I think the restorative power of people is really what I want to hold on to and what I want to believe in.
As creative things come to me, and I wrote something reflective last week, almost like in the same nod to in conversation about neurodivergence and being aware of things about ourselves that we get to be aware of in order to work with it and through it. So if people understood how many breakdowns, conscious or subconscious, they have as a direct result of capitalism, all of it,
because they go hand in hand.
Yeah, of course. There's so many ways in which we are disconnected from the things that if we could wrap our mind around it or be open. And it's just one of those things for me. It's okay to be ignorant of things. It's okay to not know some things. It's not okay to never figure the shit out.
Yeah.
and learn what you get to learn in order to live a life that supports and serves not only yourself, but the communities that you want to see change for. So I see you as that person. I see you. I appreciate you and thank you for being a part of our community. I thank you for being my friend. And, you know, let's just keep going.
You're killing me here. You're killing me.
I don't mean to kill you, but you're being real, I'm being truthful. I appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to what we create together. And I'm looking forward to the impact, because it's already impactful. But the impact that Power Not Pity is going to have on the world as we continue to grow this thing. I say we, because I'm right here with you. Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. Let's get it. Yes,
so tell folks where they can find you.
Oh, you can find Power Not Pity everywhere. Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, Podbean. It's pretty much in all the major platforms. You can find Power Not Pity on social media, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, at Power Not Pity.
Awesome. And did you say your website? Do you have a website?
Yeah, www.powernotpity.com.
Right. And that's where you can pretty much find everything, right?
That's where you can find everything. The transcripts are there, all the information, show notes, everything is there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna close this out. Anything else you can share with the folks before I let you go?
Oh, what do I want to share? Thank you so much for having me. I really feel plugged in when I talk to you, because I don't know, Talib, like this show is so much more than me. And I really feel like it's my purpose being unfolded. And so I guess I would just say, stick around, stay tuned, because we out here, we're not going nowhere. And we're about to be live.
Word up. I want to give a big thanks to our Afros and Audio and Black podcast community for supporting our commitment for community and collaboration. If you'd like to join the Black Podcasters Association, the link will be in the description below. And if you want to join us at the 5th annual Afros and Audio Podcast Festival, visit bit.ly/AFAUFAQ, which will also be in the description. Follow us on all social media channels at Afros and Audio. And thanks again, Bri, for being a part of Afros and Audio's first ever Black History Month interview series. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me, Talib. This is awesome.
Absolutely. All right. Peace.